Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Devin Cruz. I am manager of student recruitment and enrollment here at College for Social Innovation, where we run the Semester in the City program. We're really happy that we partner with UMass Amherst so that students there can come and take part in our program. And I'm here with 3 students who are UMass Amherst students who are also alums of the program. I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves quickly. Georgia, do you want to start?
So I'm Georgia. I'm a sophomore at UMass. I'm studying Spanish and education, and my internship was with 826 Boston at the Edward M. Kennedy Academy of Health.
Molly?
Hi guys, I'm Molly. I'm a senior at UMass Amherst, and I'm studying linguistics and Spanish, and I also interned at 826 Boston.
And Avery.
Hi, my name is Avery. I'm a senior at UMass Amherst. I'm studying global social policy, and I interned at an organization which is called Mujeres Unidas Avanzando in Dorchester.
Awesome. So I'm just going to take a second and share my screen so that everybody can see. One second. Let's see if I can do this. Share my screen. Here we are. And this will be a part that Molly edits out. All right, so we're here to talk about Semester in the City. We have our 5 lovely participants from not this semester, but last semester here in this slide. So we're gonna talk a little bit about, as we go through here and chat, we're gonna talk about what Semester in the City is, why you might be interested in participating, what the application deadlines and the admissions process are like. We'll talk a little bit about me as the on-campus CFSI liaison, but also the folks at UMass Amherst who you could talk to if you were interested in learning more, and we'll go from there. So this, like I said, is our cohort of our first UMass Amherst participants. We have 3 of them here talking today. The other 2 participants were Cynthia, who is probably, well, she's on my left, and was a psychology major. And then also Sam Wong, who's sort of 4th in, who is a senior and was a BDIC major with some work in linguistics and some in psychology. So this is our mission. We take it very seriously, and we hope that the goal of the College for Social Innovation and through the Semester in the City program is to educate and inspire the next generation of problem solvers through fully credited hands-on learning experiences that are meaningful, accessible, and life-changing. So we'll talk a little bit about how we do that throughout the course of this. And how we do it is the Semester in the City program. So we bring students to Boston to learn through a well-supported fellowship or an internship in the social impact sector. What we mean by social impact sector is a nonprofit, a government agency, or a social mission business. It's a 15-week program, a full semester, as the name suggests. And through that program, we really want to give students a chance to make a difference while also building essential skills and networks. So the things that you'll need to launch yourself into your work after graduation. So the key program details you see here, there's a 400-hour social impact internship. That's 30 hours a week. And at that internship, you have a mentor who is there to support you and also to help you to build your network. You take 2 classes with us while you are in the program. Through all of these things, you're really getting to be a change maker in Boston. See what is it like to be in the social innovation sector, making change, which is something you might be thinking about doing after you graduate. And you also get a full semester's worth of credit. Could one of you, or maybe Molly, could you talk a little bit about your internship just so we can hear maybe firsthand what it was like?
Yeah, definitely. So as I said before, my internship was 826 Boston, which is a nonprofit publishing and writing nonprofit. And we basically, what I did, I worked at a high school in Dorchester. And I was working with students, and they would come into this thing called a writer's room. And basically, I would tutor students on their writing to help them gain communication skills and writing skills for the future, whether that be college or whatever they were planning to do. And we would also work on a publication throughout the semester. And then we ended up getting 33 students published in this publication.
And so a big part of what you were just talking about was your special project, right? And so every student who is in an internship with us does some sort of special project. And what that means is that you have something that you have ownership over, that you're working on in conjunction with your mentor throughout the course of the semester, but you're really the person at the organization who's driving that project. The idea is that we really want our internships to be mutually beneficial, so that you walk away from the semester feeling like you have gained the skills you were hoping to gain, that you really got to work on something that you were passionate about, but also through your special project that you've left something for your organization that they can continue to use, or that helped push them further towards their mission. Avery, do you want to talk a little bit about your special project?
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute for a second. So I was working to kind of increase their presence in the community and work on like fundraising a little bit. So I helped them plan 4 different events. One of them was like a social media one of them was a different, like an auction that they had, and then like a couple other ones for different holidays that were happening during the semester. So I worked kind of like closely with not my mentor, but a couple of other people to help me kind of plan the events and figure out different steps that I would need to take throughout the semester to get to my goal of reaching the 4 events. And then I like had interviewing processes where I interviewed a bunch of staff members to try and like highlight them throughout the semester. Yeah, do you have any like other specific questions?
No, I think that was great. And then I was just going to ask Georgia, I know that Georgia, you had a particularly sort of strong relationship with your mentor. Can you talk a little bit about what that relationship was like and how you worked with them throughout the course of the semester?
Yeah, so my mentor and I originally didn't connect as well as I thought we would, but as the semester went on, we had weekly check-ins where I could communicate the support that I needed, and they could communicate the support that they needed to me. And through that, we were able to create a really like strong bond. We found things that we were both like interested in, and we also had a relationship where it was professional too. One skill that I learned to have like more effectively was communication, because like at first we weren't communicating as well and weren't doing as many check-ins as we could have, and through that I was able to like grow professionally communicating with them.
Great. And so a big part of what we do as you enter the program is matching you with this internship. And so we take a lot of time and put a lot of thought into where we place students, because we want, as I said earlier, to make sure that they really feel as if their semester has been beneficial to them, and also their host organization feels like it's been beneficial to them as well. So we're looking at a lot of things in that process, but it really boils down to 2 things. So we're thinking a lot about, what are you passionate about? What are the things that drive you? What are the interests that you are interested in following after you graduate from from college? And so we take that into consideration, but then also you might have skills you'd like to build. So that could be anything from, I'd really like to learn how to be a better public speaker, to I'd really like to learn how to manipulate an Excel table. You tell us throughout the admissions and the enrollment process what your passions are and what those skills are, and then we do our best to find an internship that we think aligns in both places. You also tell us what's more important to you. So are the skills more important, or is working with an organization that you're really passionate about more important? And we take that into consideration as well. And then, like I said, we're also taking into consideration what the organization needs. So not only do we have an application from student, we also have applications from host organizations where they tell us what they would like a student to work on, and also what sort of student they think might fit in best in their organization. Along with the internship that you're doing in our program, you're also taking 2 classes, and we consider those like a really key piece of the program. The internship is where you're getting to do the real like hands-on work, and then the courses are where you get to reflect on those. So there are 2 classes. The Wednesday seminar is the Social Innovators Toolbox. Friday is called Becoming a Problem Solver. The Wednesday course is sort of a high-level overview of social innovation and what problem solving has been like throughout history, the history and the theory there. And then the Friday course is really about personal and professional development and what sort of professional you're going to become after you graduate. Before I slip to the next slide, Georgia, would you like to talk a little bit about what the class experience was like for you?
I really found Friday's course super beneficial because being a sophomore, I hadn't really looked into like creating a resume or starting a LinkedIn profile. And those were 2 really big aspects of the class that really have helped me so far in navigating how I'm going to find a job after college and learning like the certain skills that certain professionals are looking for.
I'll also point out that the classes have changed a little bit since the 3 of you were with us. And so in particular, the Wednesday night class has become really focused on a guest speaker series with the idea that like you're in Boston, there's all sorts of social innovators living here. It makes sense to hear from them. So, you know, what are other people doing in the city to solve the problems that are happening here, problems that are emerging? Gives you a chance to hear from folks who are doing what you might want to be doing, but it also gives you a really cool chance to network. So this is our weekly schedule. I'm going to go ahead and point out, sorry, that this is a sample, right? So your hours at your internship, for example, might not be 9 to 5, depending on where you're working. If you're at a school, they might shift a little earlier. In some offices, they might shift a little later. But you are expected to be at your internship for 30 hours a week, regardless of what those hours every day look like. Wednesday is a bit of a shorter day because you're also going to the Wednesday night class that I talked about earlier. And then Friday, you're not at your internship. Instead, you're with us for becoming a problem solver. Avery, could you talk a little bit about like what the schedule was like for you, and maybe how is it different from your college schedule and the challenges or the opportunities that might have come along with that?
Yeah, so I had an 8 to 4 schedule, so I was up at like 6 in the morning every day, which is really hard for me because I'm usually not, like at school you don't have classes that early. So that was kind of hard. And it was also just different because at school you have a schedule where you usually have a break throughout the day, and you get to like go get lunch or whatever. And obviously I had a lunch break, but it was just, you don't really get to move around as much, or specifically with my internship, I didn't really, I was really getting up throughout the day to like go walk from class to class or whatever, which was really different. I think that it's just a little bit harder because it's more of a constant thing that you're doing when you have an internship, instead of the breaks and like change in subject and all the differences that you have when you're in classes. But those are the kind of the only challenges that I really think that I faced schedule wise.
Sure. Do you think it presented any opportunities, any of you?
I think that it's kind of like nice to also have this kind of schedule, because does feel a little bit more structured than when I'm going to class. So I think that that's a good opportunity for me.
For me personally, I like getting up early and like having a schedule. So like for me, this was great, and also because it's kind of like the hours that I know that I'll be having like with my like the job that I want, and because I'm graduating this semester, like I know now that I can handle this and like grad school and stuff. So the schedule definitely, like, it can be challenging to manage both, but it also shows you like what you're capable of. And also like can prepare you for what your job in the future is going to look like too.
Sure. Yeah, I think that that's something that I like to talk a little bit about is this is a schedule that not a lot of college students are used to. And so it can definitely take some settling in. But once you're used to it, this is probably what your job is going to be like once you graduate. So getting a chance to sort of try that out is in a less high stakes environment can be a good thing. So you're in Boston. That's a huge part of our program, is that you're in the city. You are in a city that potentially you haven't spent a lot of time in previously. Some of our students are definitely from Boston, but a lot of our students are not. And it gives you a chance not only to experience Boston, but also to experience Boston as a professional. So not necessarily, you are a college student, but you're working every day. You're getting on the train, you're going to wherever your organization is, you're navigating your way to class. And so it's almost as if you're getting a chance to sort of practice adulting in a city, which might be what you'd like to do after you graduate. We, as an organization, do our best to organize a lot of activities throughout the course of this semester. So I think that the folks here in this picture are at a Red Sox game. And so that's definitely something that we have done with students, but it's everything from taking folks to Red Sox games to the opportunity to go to the aquarium, going to the Boston Public Market. There's just a lot that we try to do or offer students to do together as a cohort, but also obviously the chance to explore on your own. Would one of you like to talk, or actually, can I just hear from each of you maybe about something you did in Boston outside the class or the internship that you were particularly excited to do?
Georgia and I went to the Boston tree lighting ceremony, which was really fun. And even though I'm from the Boston area, I've never done that. So it was still really new to me.
One thing that I did with a bunch of CFSI students or fellows also was that we went to this kind of event at the MFA. It was like a late night event, and we could go and look at the art. And they had like live music and different like people doing like people speaking and stuff like that, which was really cool.
I'm a big nature person, so where we were living in Alston, there was a bridge that you could cross over very easily. It was right nearby, and you could run down to the Charles River and run along, or even walk along. One time I took the bikes that are available in Alston, and I rode across the bridge a couple times, which was really fun.
Cool. Yeah, I think I lived in Amherst for 16 years before I moved to Boston. And so when I moved to this, I don't live in the city, but when I started being in the city every day, I definitely like missed that sort of nature thing. Like I missed being able to just go for a hike. And that is somebody trying to FaceTime my child. And so I like didn't, hang on. I'm gonna let Giles pick up. Good, now they won't call again. Other things that Molly can edit out. Since they're not in school and they can't see each other, they're like FaceTime, it's his best friend, and they're like FaceTiming each other every day to chat about the video games that they're playing. Since I don't get to be in nature every day, the Boston Common is one of my favorite places to hang out. Like I like to just kind of walk, and there's trees and there's a big grassy area. And so if you're worried about missing that sort of thing in particular, there's definitely places in the city where you can find it. All right, so we feel really confident about our program. And you know, like we can see that we're doing the things that we were hoping we would do, helping students to build networks, helping them to gain confidence, helping them in the job market once they graduate. And so we were really excited to see, we did a survey last year, and we're really excited to see the data that we were getting backed up what we were hearing anecdotally. And so I'm going to share some of that, but I'm also going to ask Molly in particular in a second to talk about her experience after the program. So we hear from a lot of students about how we think that Their time with Semester in the City helped them not only to build confidence, but also to build direction. And about 94% of students said they felt more self-confident after they graduated from the program. But 92% of students said that they felt clearer about whatever their goals might be after they graduate. So, you know, getting a chance to work in the field that you hope you might go into someday might give you the opportunity to say, like, yeah, this is definitely something that I want to do when I graduate. It might also give you the opportunity to say, I thought I would really like this, and it turns out maybe it isn't exactly what I want to do. And I think that's really, really helpful to know before you plunge back into your schoolwork and graduate with a degree in whatever it is you were doing. So what we also see is that Semester in the City graduates who have graduated from our program and have also graduated from college are getting jobs at rates higher than students who have not done our program. So these bar graphs show that. But students who have both graduated from Semester in the City and graduated from college, about 81% of them say that they are engaged in full-time employment. About 16% of them are in graduate school, and about 3% of them are working full-time. You can see how that compares to both UNH, which is one of our larger partner schools, but also the national averages, where about 60% of students who graduated from college and are 6 months out are employed full-time, and a lot of them are still seeking positions. So Molly, I would love to hear from you because I know you did some recent job searching and we're applying to some programs. And could you talk a little bit about that experience for you in particularly how you feel Semester in the City like might have helped you in that process?
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like Semester in the City helped a lot. So I'm someone who, like, I already had a LinkedIn, I had a resume, and I started searching for jobs like long before I should have. But Semester in the City helped me really like boost my resume and my LinkedIn and really like finalize it. And throughout my job searching, I've gotten multiple compliments on my resume. And really people telling me like that's one of the reasons they really wanted to interview me, because they were impressed by it. And then recently I got accepted into Teach for America, which is super exciting for me. And I really feel like that my experience with Semester in the City prepared me for the interviews, for the questions that they were asking me prior to the interviews, and really just like for my field in general, to be able to think outside the box and really focus on students and be able to solve those types of problems. And one of the reasons that I feel that way is because of something called human-centered design, which is basically a concept that we were taught in one of the classes, and we were able to implement throughout our internship. And basically it says that, you know, the design of your solution should always be focused on the people involved, the stakeholders. And so when I was answering these questions at Teach for America, I always had in mind, like, well, what about the students' opinions, and what about the parents that are involved? And so when I had my last interview, I was told one of the reasons that, you know, they felt that I was a really strong candidate was because throughout the interview, they kept hearing me say, well, why don't we discuss like what the students would want? And that was something that really impressed them. And I think that without Semester in the City, I might not have had that perspective about this type of thinking.
Cool. Thank you. And also congratulations, as I have said several times. So I'm going to back up because I think one thing that we didn't really talk about, because I didn't stop to talk about it, was this fine print slide right here. So these are some of the particularly important things, I think, about Semester in the City and about potential participation from UMass Amherst. So I've said a few times that the program is fully credited. So what that means is that when you participate, you get 16 credits. They absolutely count towards graduation. Sometimes you can also get them count towards major requirements, and I think all three of you were able to do that, right? Avery, can you talk about the process of what it was like to get the program to count towards your major?
Yeah, so I'm BDIC, so I don't know if this process is a little bit different than other majors, but for me, I had to go to my advisors and get a paper signed that had like the 2 classes and then the internship credits. And then, so I did that before I went to semester in the city. And then when I came back, I had to have like a meeting and everything, but then I just went to my advisors and kind of like gave them the paper and gave them like my change of courses to tell them to show that these would go. Towards my major, and they counted both the classes, and then 6 of the internship credits went towards it. But it was fairly easy to get it for me specifically, just because most majors allow you to have a couple internship credits. It might not be the whole thing, but you can at least apply some of them, and then the classes fit with my concentration. So I don't know if that's kind of like very specific. I don't know if that is different for everybody else.
Georgia, you also went through a process. Was it a little bit different?
It was different for me because I'm a Spanish major. So what happened was for my major, I think the same happened with Molly. For Spanish majors, you can get two certain classes taught in English. So the credits for the 2 classes went towards those courses for me because they weren't spoken in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the credits went towards the 120 that all UMass students have to graduate.
Cool, thank you. So as a UMass Amherst student, you continue to pay UMass Amherst tuition and also room. So the room costs differ a little bit depending on whether you live with us or not. We do offer housing. So our housing is in Alston. I think, Georgia, you referenced this, but Alston is a neighborhood that's essentially between Boston College and Boston University. It's on the Green Line. There's a lot of college students there. We offer both singles and double rooms. The single rooms are a bit more expensive than the doubles, but if you live with us, you pay UMass Amherst tuition and housing. Would one of you like to talk about living, either Georgia or Molly, since you both lived with us, what it was like to live in Alston and in our housing?
In the apartments, it's a lot different than living in a dorm. It was nice though because downstairs in the apartments there was 2 single bedrooms, and then upstairs there was a double, but upstairs there was a bathroom and downstairs there was a bathroom. There wasn't no like common area for bathrooms and showers. And it was also a different experience to not have a dining hall and being like very conscious about my budget for food and cooking every meal for myself and packing lunch and stuff like that.
And Avery, you didn't live in our housing. So would you like to talk a little bit about what the program was like as a commuter, technically?
Honestly, I don't think it was like that much of a difference. I mean, it was different because I wasn't living with the whole cohort. So I like at the beginning of this semester, but like I didn't really get to meet as many people. But obviously through coming to class and just chatting with people, I met a lot more people. But living at home wasn't a big difference. Obviously there was like budgeting things, like buying groceries. So as I lived with family, so I still had to buy some of my groceries. But yeah, I agree with Georgia on like just it is a lot different than living in a dorm. You have to like you're a lot more independent when you're living in an apartment, which is good and bad. But yeah, I think it was a very similar experience to what it's like living in the apartments.
Cool. So whether you live with us or not, no matter what, you're continuing to pay UMass Amherst, and any financial aid you have can transfer over. So that's important to know too, is that you're very likely paying the same, or if you're not living with us and saving on room costs, potentially less than you would pay for a semester at UMass Amherst. There's also a few benefits. So we give every student who participates in the program an unlimited MBTA pass. So that will get you on the subway and the bus to get back and forth to your internship, but also to do anything else in the city that you'd like to do. There is a small stipend, so it's $595 for the course of the semester. Most students end up spending that on food and laundry, although sometimes there's some extra money left over to do some other things you'd like to do in the city. And then we also provide 3 meals a week. So that is dinner at the Wednesday class and then breakfast and lunch on Friday. All right, so we can go back here. So these dates are wrong, so I'm going to say them out loud. The fall 2020 semester in the city application deadlines are, oh no, that's not wrong. It's just that December 1st is so long ago that I forgot it happened. The final deadline is actually April 15th, so it's not April 30th. We will, however, very likely, if your application comes in a bit after April 15th, continue to accept applications, to work with you. What really becomes potentially an issue at that point is that you need to notify UMass Amherst that you're leaving, and you also need to select your courses for the next semester. And so it's better to get the application in earlier as opposed to later so that you can do those things on time. You'll see that there's a link here to the application, semesterinthecity.org/apply. We're still accepting applications for fall, but we'll also accept applications for future semesters as well. We have a number of applications already for spring 2021. And so the interview process is that after you apply, and the application is not meant to take a huge amount of your time, usually up to about 30 minutes. It's a few short answer questions. We're looking for thoughtful answers, but they don't need to be poured over like you might have poured over your college essay. So after you apply, I get in touch with you to schedule an interview. I do every interview in the program. The interview is not meant to be super formal or scary. We really just want to get a good sense of what sort of fit you are for the program, and were you to enroll, what kind of internship might be the right fit for you. We also contact 2 references, so we ask you to provide that in the admissions process, and then within about a week, you hear back from us with our decision. Some contact information here. So I am on the right. You can contact me for questions specifically about the program. On the left is Sheila Brennan. She works with domestic exchange students at UMass Amherst. And so if you're interested in learning more about the process of letting UMass Amherst know that you're studying away, of figuring out credits, things like that, Sheila is the right person to be in touch with. So that's the end of our slide deck. Do any of you have anything else you'd like to talk about that we didn't touch on? No? Georgia looks like maybe she was about to, but okay.
One thing that a lot of people were concerned about, and that Molly and Avery I talked about last night, was some students are concerned about the flexibility of hours at internships. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say that it's completely up to you and your mentor when you do not come in, but it's also really important to remember CFSI has certain sick hours that you can use. So it's like, you have to be very conscious of your hours because those also play into your grade for your internship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we give ETO, so essentially like excused time off, just like you would get if you were working in a job after you graduate. And you can work with the folks in the program team to figure out that once you're in, and whether that's that you need sick time or you have a doctor's appointment or whatever, you do have a bank of time that you can use. I guess I'll just close by saying that we certainly understand that at this particular moment, there's a lot of uncertainty about what the next few months are going to look like, but we are fully committed to being in Boston in the fall with Semester in the City. And I think also really sort of rededicated and fully committed to the idea that we want to be a connection between folks in college who are hoping to make change and the organizations that are working to make those changes. And especially at a moment when I think we're all going to have a lot of problems to solve and a lot of changes to dig into, we're really excited to have people in Boston who are motivated to do that. So excited for you who are watching this to potentially apply. I'm going to stop recording.